Even for those of you who have already stretched yourself a little bit and made yourself more comfortable, try to stay centered in your breathing, trying to keep your mind with your breath, or close to your breath at least, so it doesn't go too far. So you don't want your mind to constantly escape into other different kind of thoughts, the future, the past, whatever fantasies. So keep your mind closely to the breath. So welcome everyone, it's good to see you. So as some of you already know, we are currently covering all the stages of the process since episode 200. So far we have covered the 3 preparations, the posture, the breath, the attitude. We went into stage 1, the first stage, where it's all about allowing the body to relax and settle, which introduces presence. If you're comfortable in your body, it's easier to be present with it. Your mind doesn't want to go anywhere else. If you're uncomfortable with your body, your mind of course wants to escape all the time, can't wait for the session to end. You'd ask yourself, how long have I been sitting already, etc. So most of you will know that state from experience. And we come to the second stage. Second stage is present moment awareness. That is introduced by the first. When you are present, it simply means you're here not thinking about any future or past events. Even things that have just happened a moment ago or might happen a moment later. So you drop every ounce of anticipation and every memory. You really come into this moment. How do you do that? Well, you focus on things that are happening right now. What are things that are happening right now? Well, feelings, sounds, all very harmless, real experiences. So you can just listen to sounds, for example. Here I recommend not just listen to sounds, but pick out some sound that you like, a comfortable sound, a nice one. Again, it's easier to stay there. When you're paying attention to feelings, then pay attention to a feeling in your body that you really like, that you really enjoy. And relax into that feeling. It's good to enjoy yourself like that. This joy, we call this a harmless or wholesome kind of joy, because it does not depend on other people. It comes right outside of yourself. So you do not need to bother other people, you don't need to use them, you don't need to do anything about them, you don't need to profit from them. You can simply arise this happiness within yourself. You can simply produce that within you. So that's why it's a wholesome or harmless happiness. Nobody else has to experience any loss, so for you to experience benefit. Now we come to the third stage. As you go deeper and deeper into the present moment awareness, you come to a point where you're so much in the moment that you simply do not talk with yourself in your own head anymore. The talking ends at that stage. You're just there. You're simply sitting here. Normally, most of us, for most of the time during every day, we're talking with ourselves in our own heads. Just constantly talking. That voice in our heads needs to calm down by itself. You can't stop it. Just like you can't make water calm by hitting it with a baseball bat or stroking it gently. Everything that you do to the water will keep the water agitated. No matter how calmly you're doing things to the water, it doesn't help to calm it down. You would have to put the water down, you'd have to leave the water alone and give it time to settle. It will do that all by itself. We do exactly the same here at that stage. Please do not try to silence your mind. It doesn't work. Please do not try to stop your mind. It doesn't work. But allow your mind to empty itself. Like when you ate poisonous food, you get food poisoning, your body wants to vomit out the food. That's a good thing. If your body wouldn't do that, the whole poison would stay in. You don't want that. So the body is quite intelligent, it just gets rid of all that. Your mind does exactly the same.
It wants to get it all off its chest. The problem is we're not allowing it to do that. We kind of interfere, we block it. We say, oh no, I don't want to think right now, I want to meditate, I want to be concentrated and peaceful and enlightened. But the mind doesn't let me. No, you are not letting the mind. So here it's a matter of actually liberating your mind from your oppression. Liberating the mind from your demands, from your needs, so that the mind can relax. So there's no more tyranny. There's no more pushing, no more pressure. So you really become soft. Very, very gentle. Giving your mind space. As I said during the meditation, there's all kinds of thoughts that bubble up into the stillness, into the silence. Let them bubble up and dissolve right there. There's nothing you need to do. But at some point your mind will be empty. There's nothing else that needs to come. Everything dissolves right away in your openness. So that's kind of what you want in that third stage. So as that silence deepens, then at some point you bring your attention to the breath. Bring your attention to the breath when the breath is kind of the only thing that remains in your awareness, the only moving thing that's there. So when you bring your attention to the breath, what that does is it introduces stillness. So we're not working with silence anymore here at that stage, we're working now with stillness. Even though your mind might be silent, your attention might still wander around. Sometimes it goes to a sound, then it goes to a feeling, then it goes to another sense perception. So here we train to keep the mind with just one thing, just the breath. And keep it simple. So as you're breathing in, simply knowing that you're breathing in. As you're breathing out, simply knowing that you're breathing out. That's simple. No need to follow the breath, no need to manipulate it or control it. Just let it be comfortable. Some people say, let your breath be natural. And that's obviously difficult for some practitioners, that they sit down and try to breathe naturally. It doesn't work that way. You can't try to breathe naturally. Being natural is not something that you need to try. Give the example of someone pointing a camera at you and telling you to be yourself or to be natural. How can you not be yourself? Even if you're pretending, you're still being yourself. Right? If I just told you right now, so I give you 1 minute to be yourself, go. What would you do? And some people actually then assume a nice posture and sit upright and close their eyes and take a deep breath. And so this is funny, you know. This is exactly that kind of thing that happens when I tell you breathe naturally. Immediately, as your attention goes to the breath, you will start manipulating it so that it becomes, quote unquote, more natural, which is a joke in itself. So in order to breathe naturally, let's take out the word natural. Just say comfortable. Can you breathe in a way that is most comfortable? Now that's natural. Natural breathing is comfortable breathing. If I say natural, most people don't even know what that is. Well, what is natural breathing? What does that mean? So of course it's confusing when you try to breathe naturally. So just be comfortable. Take a comfortable in-breath. The nicest kind of in-breath you can take. It doesn't necessarily have to be a deep in-breath. It could be very shallow. Which one feels nice for you right now? You do that. Do the same then with the out-breath. Ever only just focus on that one breath. Just this in-breath, then just this out-breath. Don't count breaths. Don't try to be mindful for 2 minutes. Forget that. Being mindful for 2 minutes is another one of those jokes. You can't be mindful for 2 minutes. You can be mindful now. And that's that. So just be mindful now then. And now. And now. And then after a while, the dots connect. And that's when you get deeper into the practice. You're just doing this one step. By the way, if you're ever going through a really difficult period in your life, great hardship, great problems, take it, it's a very good advice, take it one step at a time. You've heard that before, right? Take it one step at a time. Live just for today. Just today. Let's get that done well. Just today. It's not overwhelming, right? You don't feel anymore like, oh my God, the next 6 months are going to be pure hell. Just today. Live as if there was just today. It's funny to say as if there was just today. But it will help heaps. It will make you immediately more relaxed. I don't have to worry about 6 months, 6 years, whatever. I can just relax today. Just spend today in a nice way. In the same spirit, it's just this breath. Just now. Just taking one breath. Just taking a nice breath. Is that okay? Is that enough? If you can relax with that, great. And take another one. A nice breath, another one. Another nice breath. But then you might forget the breath for a few rounds. Then you come back again and you take another nice breath. It doesn't matter that you just forgot. Because now you are there again with this breath. That matters. So the moment of mindfulness matters. Not that you are distracted. That doesn't matter. We're all distracted. Everyone's distracted. If you feel, I'm so distracted, trust me, you're not alone. You're not special in that. Everybody's super distracted. So let's just celebrate at each time when that distraction comes to an end and you're actually cultivating a better state of mind. You're benefiting yourself. You're lifting yourself up. That's what that is. You take yourself out of the misery of self-inflicted pain, of thinking about all your thousands of problems that you might have tomorrow, or that you had yesterday. Punishing yourself right now, ruining this moment, making more problems as you go along. Stretching out the habit, making it more powerful. That's not serving you. It's not serving anyone. What is serving you is stop making problems. How do you do that? Well, come to the breath. It's very unproblematic. In the moment when you are with your breath and your mind is united with the breathing, in that moment you are a person in the room that is not a problem. A walking problem. A talking problem. You're the person in the room that has become the solution. You're just happy and peaceful. You're just here. No problem. So be that person. Be that space in which problems come to an end. When problems are approaching you, that's where they end. That means you're also a true friend to other people. And people can come to you with their problems and that's where they end. Because you have enough space. You're not limited in that way. Presence is not being limited. Future and past is. So continuously come back into that nice space of breathing. Now there will be a kind of, how do you say, like a stage by stage way of progress into breathing meditation. Now this is real concentrative meditation. Here you are cultivating a stable, still mind. So you go through a few stages. The first stage is very often translated as directed thought. The Pali word is vitakka. Directed thought means something like you're using your mind skillfully to guide you to the breath. All right? So you're applying your mind in ways that you're actually becoming your own guide. That requires some skill. So the vitaka aspect comes together with vichara. Vichara means something like evaluation. So this is the first pair, directed thought and evaluation. So you're using your capacity of your mental states in such a skillful way that you're finding ways to direct the mind to the breath and keep it with the breath while at the same time evaluating the state that you're in. Is what I'm doing right now actually helping me to relax deeper, or is it making me agitated? That goes into very subtle realms. Building the skill to be able to do that properly, that's the first thing you need as you're practicing breath meditation, breathing meditation, meditation in general. So guiding yourself and evaluating what you're doing as you go along. In the beginning, for any beginning meditator, these two states are extremely fuzzy. You don't really experience them. The mind is not yet sharp enough, constantly lost in thoughts about work and whatnot. So the beginning is really just about come back to the breath, come back to the breath, come back to the breath. And then it will become more and more subtle. You come back to the breath, and then you start feeling the breath. You start paying attention to how does it flow. Is it stuck? Is it open? And if I'm directing my attention in that way, does it help me to relax deeper? Does the mind become more still or more shaky if I do this? So gradually you're using these two qualities. If you're using them well, then you're getting to the third quality, which is called piti. Piti means something like rapture or joy. Piti very often is felt as pleasant sensations in the body. For many people, not just only pleasant, but also super weird sensations, like sensations of sinking into the ground, spinning around, floating upwards, expanding, contracting, feeling suddenly like your hands are floating off your knees, going up into the air. And it feels so real that you kind of want to open your eyes to check if your hands are actually floating upwards or not. Feeling like light is, you're sitting in a dark room and you meditate, or suddenly you feel like, did I forget to turn off the light? And it is so real that you have to open your eyes to check if the light hasn't turned on. You suddenly have a sensation of light. You might feel light in a sense of not heavy, to the point where you're kind of lifting off and you're floating up. Or all kinds of weird sensations, and we call that piti. So this is the first good result of deeper meditation practice. Another good result, that's a little pointer that you know you're developing the skill, is that your breath becomes more refined. As your mind slows down, so does your breath, so does your heartbeat. Everything slows down. Some people are actually becoming a bit afraid at some point, because it goes to a point when your mind becomes so still, your brain doesn't require any much oxygen to work anymore. You're not thinking about anything. You're basically not really using your brain in that state, or you're using it in a very subtle way. In that moment, you're in such a deep state that the breath often stops, and you don't notice for a long time. You sit there not breathing, you feel super nice. All of a sudden you're like, what? I'm not breathing. And as soon as you're thinking that, guess what happens? Brain activity resumes, you start to breathe again. So here, what does that teach you? Again, what are you doing and what is the result of your doing? It's all about doing. Meditation is all about doing. No matter what people tell you, some people say, oh, it's all about the being. It's kind of both. It's about doing and it's about being. If you bring them together in harmony, then that's good meditation. But in the beginning, it's mostly about doing. And you want to do things right. If you're doing them right, every action has a result. Cause, result, cause, result. If you're going along like that, you become more and more skilled in seeing what cause creates what result in your body. In other words, you become really, really skilled at making yourself happy and keeping yourself from suffering. And you can do that fast because you're good at that. Because you've trained that tens of thousands of times to direct your attention in ways that make you happy. So there's neuronal pathways. Your body changes in accordance to your mental skills. It's not that, oh, you have a skill of mind, but your body is the same. Nope. Your mind changes, your body changes. Your mind changes, your emotional and energetic being changes. All of it changes in response to simple movements of intention and attention. So we want to learn how to use our intention and our attention properly in meditation practice. This is the most in the beginning. Later on, sure, you have to let go of the doing, but we're long not at that stage. If you're at that stage, you're probably somewhere in the forest, in a cave, or on long-term retreat. Yes. So you want to come to a point where your mind becomes more refined, more simple. Refined here just means simple, basic, natural. Unburdened. You could also say light. So the next stage, as you notice that you are in this stage of piti and you're experiencing rapture, and now your task is to combine the breathing with those feelings and then calm them down. It's almost like you're catching a wild animal and then you're keeping it on the leash and then you're treating it in a way that it slowly calms down. You need a long breath for that, because the attention is still quite agitated in that state of piti. You're still buzzing. What piti does, it is very buzzy in nature. It's very, even though it's a very strong, powerful, potent sensation of happiness and joy, something that most of you probably have never ever experienced before they've started meditation practice. So it is definitely something. Now, when you're experiencing that state, you're first fascinated by it. But like everything in life, after a while the fascination weans off. And you come to a point where the buzziness of piti becomes disturbing. You kind of look for peace. You want to go deeper. You want to rest. And so that's the beginning stages of what we call sukha. Sukha is happiness or bliss. Now this is a deeper level of refinement, a deeper level of happiness that arises when you abandon a coarser level of the mind. There's a beautiful example of how we build happiness in meditation practice. You only ever let go of happiness if you have something better. So you have in one stage of happiness and you want to go to the next stage. Don't let go prematurely of the happiness that you have right now. So what's the happiness that you have right now? Watching Netflix, hanging out with good friends, enjoying a nice dinner, sitting at the beach, going out, taking a deep breath, becoming quiet, settling down, letting the mind become quiet and rest. And it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, but naturally so. Now, if I would come along and say, well, the happiness of watching Netflix is not real happiness, and then you think, oh, I have to renounce Netflix, and I have to now move into a cave so that I can experience true happiness. That's a big mistake. And you will notice as soon as you've moved into the cave that you've made a big mistake. And then you need to move out of the cave again and start all over, So it's important to notice that. Many people ordain as monks or make a big kind of thing about their renunciation. I'm now going for enlightenment. It's only awareness for me, and it's just the being. Everything is in the being. And they make these big statements and claims, but then deep down inside, they don't have the base that can carry such kind of insights. They haven't built some basic happiness first. My teacher said very clearly, happiness is the last thing that you let go of. The last one. But first of all, you just concern yourself with suffering, and concern yourself with the coarsest levels of suffering that you're experiencing right now. What's the most loud suffering in your life? Deal with that first. Then you'll find a more subtle one afterwards. Then deal with that. And as you deal with those sufferings, with every falling away of a suffering, a more refined version of happiness arises. So if the happiness of presence arises, it means the suffering of future and past has fallen away. If the suffering of the happiness of stillness arises, it means that the suffering of agitation has faded. And that's all deeper and deeper levels. So sukha here, bliss, means that the suffering of basically agitation in body and mind has ended to a great extent. This is overwhelming. The experience of sukha is overwhelming. It is such a potent, such a powerful level of happiness that if you would experience it right now, if I would snap my finger, you would experience it, you would give up what you're doing right now, and you would probably ordain. You would probably just let go of the stuff that holds you back. Because you clearly realize, wow, I can be that happy? Oh my goodness. If I would have known that earlier, I would have gone directly for that happiness instead of indirectly going for happiness by, what do the large companies tell you? What do you need to be happy? You all know it. You need the newest whatever, and then you need to go there, and happiness is always slightly ahead, and you'll never really get it. You only get the smell of it. And I'm here doing this stuff because I would like you to eat, not just getting the smell of it. If you just knew how happy you could be, how nice you could feel, you would just go for that. If I would ask you, what do you really want in life? Many people answer that they need some stuff. I need, independence. I need a car. I need enough money in my bank account so I can, whatever. It's all stuff. But in reality, what the stuff is supposed to give you is a feeling. It's a very specific feeling. We're all looking for feelings. And some of the highest levels of happiness go quite into refined states of feeling and even beyond that. So then there's the next point, the fifth one, which is ekaggata, which means single-pointedness. Your mind and the object melt together. So if you sustain that, you enter true deep meditation. I'm not qualified to talk about that. But at least up to that point, that's quite a way to go for most of us. Unless you're really, really proficient already, then that's another story. So it helps to know the few things that happen when you go deeper into meditation, the breath slowing down, the heart rate slowing down. You start to feel weird sensations in the body. You start to feel really good, really happy. You might see lights, different types of lights behind your eyelids flickering around, becoming more and more condensed, turning sometimes even into whole scenes that are very vivid, very real. You might have auditory hallucinations. You might hear people whispering things into your ear or stuff like that, like really freaky stuff. Back to the breath. Whatever happens, back to the breath. This is the right attitude. No matter what kind of divine things you see or things you hear or something like that. Back to the breath. Just come back to the breath. So you're kind of like a fish that swims through a pond, and there's a lot of fishermen around the pond. And the pond is full of these tasty worms, and they're all around you. And you want to bite. And as you go deeper into the pond, the worms become more fat and more tasty and really tempting. Stay on track, because each worm will get you to a place that you don't really want to end up. So stay focused. And sure, later on, you need to still stay focused. It's difficult, it's more subtle, but yeah, that's why we practice and why we train. So in the very beginning, just keep your mind centered. Practice throughout the day. Again and again, come back to the breath. Don't make problems for yourself. Come back to the breath. Stop making more problems. Back to the breath. And you need to do that super consistently. So if you're on your motorbike, be with your breath. If you're walking to the motorbike, be with your breath. If you have a conversation, you listen to someone, listen with your whole body and your breath. So you keep your mind always close to your breath. You're not forgetting it. Again and again, coming back. And then stay. And you will see how easy it is to be happy. And how happy you can actually be. If you're not making problems all the time in your own mind. Life is super nice. All it takes is that you're present to enjoy it. If you're not here, if you're mentally elsewhere, how can you enjoy it? It's impossible. Or many people post, you need to live your life to the fullest. That's a nice post, but hardly anyone does it. It takes a lot to do it. You've got to be here. Life is constantly asking for your attention. Right now it's asking for your attention. When you're on your scooter, it's asking for your attention. When you eat dinner, it's asking for your attention. Are you there? When you're there, there's no regret. You're fully alive. Okay, so that's enough for today, I think. Are there any questions?